Hi, my name is Sheryl Shaffer. Welcome to another program in the Veterans Helping Veterans TV series, and this is our 9th virtual interview. And I'm really excited to present our veteran artist today, who is someone I met, about 4 or 5 years ago, I think. A couple of times I've seen her and saw her art displays at the Bob Hope Patriotic Hall in downtown Los Angeles. Usually at an event for women veterans put on by Stephanie Stone.
During the Vietnam era, I was in the U.S. Navy, Coronado Island. My specialty duty was illustration draftsman. I was a second lieutenant supervising over 60 personnel within the drafting in a top secret installation within the Coronado Islands.
How come you didn't make it a career?
Too much attractive creative art projects outside the military. That was the only driving force. If it didn't have it, the military was very a rewarding career at that time.
So you didn't have,
No.
You had some basic computers, but not like it is now where everything you can do drafting and stuff using software.
Everything was by hand. The big giant drafting board, the information would come in about specialty materials as well as weapons. And as that information came in for a particular vessel, ship, battle cruiser, aircraft carrier, whatever floats that needs installation of new items, new accessories, even weapons, we would absolutely take the blueprints and locate space, make the necessary adjustments for the additions upon our sea fighting force.
Wow, that's a great career. And
yes.
Because you did it old school, I would imagine that had a huge impact on your need to create art, or influence your need to create art. Can you speak to that?
Yes, it was very mechanical drafting, engineering in a sort. It was very detail oriented. It wasn't as creative as it is to be precise, dealing with measurements, dealing with temperatures, dealing with the conditions of the area that you had to work within in those drawings to the blueprints.
So Phyllis, I'm really interested in your, you just said a couple of minutes ago that you didn't stay in the military because the creative world of art was calling you. And how did you want to, you answered one of the questions I was going to ask earlier, is why didn't you stay in the military? And your response was, well, the art world was calling me. The creativity was calling me. Can you really speak to that? Because I think that's a powerful voice that a lot of people kind of squash down. They don't want to take the chance. They don't want to take the risk. They don't want to fully become a creative person for one reason or another. So I think it's very powerful that you walked away from a apparently very successful military career to create.
Yes. Well, basically, creativity, as I illustrate to any artisan or want to be artisan, or anyone, because anyone can be an artist. And I don't mean that in an easy format. What I mean is the first portion of it is that you have to look within, not be afraid of change. And in the military, while it was rewarding, and while I did, be very effective in what I did, but it was very mechanical, very, non-creative. But the creativity lets you speak beyond words. And that's why I have a favorite thing, visual beyond words, because the visuality can knock down any barriers that are brought on by words. And particularly in the veteran community or any artisans that have those internal obstacles, that a word can be a buzzword that can trigger PTSD, other anxieties, and other stressful moments. So through art, I find myself and I relay it to others that the creativity is easy to flow out. Let me show you how. And in a non-art instructional format, I use a therapeutic approach to give artisans their avenue that they can discover and make out their own path toward creativity, because art is limitless. There is no ceiling of limitation of creativity. There's all forms of creativity.
There are many reasons I wanted to interview you for BHP TV is because you are a veteran helping other veterans
Yes,
find themselves through creating art. And you do it in a variety of mediums. And
yes,
not just sitting down and drawing a picture.
correct.
It's really learning to paint or create something that's inside your head and manifest it in a physical form.
Yes, exactly, exactly.
For some people, I can see where that would be really life altering and perspective changing.
Yes,
Frees you up, art frees you up in a way that being in conformity, like in the military, you have to conform to the rules of the military. The military
correct,
doesn't have to conform to you.
correct.
You as a member of a military team, whatever that team may be, whether it's on a battlefield or at an office or whatever,
Yes,
or whatever, you all have to learn to work together.
correct.
Rules that you work under.
Yes,
Artists, there are no rules.
correct. Yay.
And that's what's so freeing about it. And
Yeah.
I think when I first saw you work, what I like about your work is it really kind of, makes you think, are you seeing something in the painting that is there? Or is it triggering something in your mind? Sometimes you see like the way you paint things,
Yes,
really like your spiritual paintings where you reference God and the God source.
yes,
And
yeah,
one you just did a little while ago, I think in the last month or so, where there is a figure kind of, you see a figure, but you can't tell, is it a man or a woman? Is it a
correct.
boy or a girl? Is it a grandfather or a grandmother? You can't tell. You can see it's a figure, and you can't tell if it's a Middle Eastern figure, an
Correct,
American figure, or
correct.
whatever nationality you want to. It's just a figure, but you can read a lot into that figure.
Yes,
As someone,
yes,
I saw it when I first saw that, I
that's
thought,
correct.
that's someone that's praying.
Yes, absolutely. And that particular piece was called Celestial Salutations. And basically, the images were created in a way that I wanted any person to look upon it to gravitate toward their interpretation. And that's one thing I never do in my art. I never tell anyone what it is. I allow them to visually embrace it and take upon their own interpretation. And I appreciate it. And it is rewarding when they tell me what's their perspective, what's their version.
Right, because
Yeah,
not only does everyone have a story, everyone looks at everybody else's story in a different perspective.
correct.
And then it's what triggers that. Can you talk about the painting that's right in back of you?
The one that's in back of me is called Water is Life. And basically, since approximately 74% of our whole body composition is made of water, everything that water touches, everything that has water within is some form of life. So what I have here is actually a whole community of human beings within an oceanic atmosphere, to the point where the world, of course, was first full of water. And then out from water became solids and other items of solid substance. So therefore, the water is always the prime denominator, the nucleus, the life of being of all, which is called water is life. And so We have animal shapes in there to the point of marine life, above marine life, to the point of even the sun is gravitating or have some type of connection with water.
So when you got out of the military, when did you get out?
I got out in 1982.
So did you go into art right away, or did you take a break from the military, like take a year off to figure out what you were going to do, or did you just have to go to work right away?
No, just by desire and anxiousness, I went right into art just when 2 weeks after leaving the military.
Okay, and what was your first piece after you got out?
My first assignment was a mural at Maryland National Bank in downtown Baltimore. And I did an astrological sky in connection with the desert. Vibrant nature and universe sensation is my way of nature connecting, giving us gifts as we embarked upon any journey that we want. And my art is a visual interpretation, or my version is visual interpretation of nature and its grace.
So from the first mural, so what happened after the first mural? Did you get more projects right away as a result of that first mural?
Yes, I did, and which brought me to New York City, where in New York I did a lot of art therapy. There was a veterans clinic in Manhattan, New York, and one veterans clinic in Harlem, New York, where I gave one-on-one art therapy to veterans. It was a very small 10 to 12, and it was just back then, it was just known as art therapy by Phyllis, taking you through the path through the art venues. And it was to expand artisans from their, like a writer's block, artisans do have artist block. And I mainly worked on the concept of stop being your worst critic, stop disqualifying yourself prior to presenting your art. If this is the visual that is within you, allow me to have you bring it out without you stopping yourself because you're your worst critic. So all I always tell any artisans or anyone that wants to dab into the world of creativity, bring an open mind and leave everything else home.
And I would really like for you to speak about the transformation you've seen in veterans through the art, in learning the basics of art, in the freedom that one gets when you create through art.
Oh, absolutely. It was many, I have so many stories, but three of my most favorite ones is where this Army veteran, Afghanistan, he was so frustrated with the art, he started pounding on the canvas. And as he was pounding on the canvas, the paint was splattering. And so I grasped his hands and he says, "Oh, I didn't mean to give paint on your hand." I said, no. You're frustrated. Let that be a creativity energy. He said, "What in the world do you mean?" I said, "Well, look what you just did. You just splattered. Now, let's do some fun outlining of your splatter. In other words, let's contain your anger. And then at the same time, make fun and creativity out of it." And so he says, well, okay, I'll walk this with you. So I showed him how to do certain brush strokes and so forth. And as he did the brush stroke, he said, "I like how this is looking." I said, "Now, how do you feel?" He says, "I feel fine with that." I said, "No, how do you really feel?" And he says, "I don't feel like I did before." I said, "And that is just, I didn't know how to express myself." I said, "Well, you just express yourself." And he said, "Is that what it's all about?" I said, "Exactly." And so he would be always on the waiting list for a paint and sip, or we call it now paint and snack. Another one was a woman veteran, Marine from Operation Shock and Awe, and she dealt with taking account of all of the people who had to deal with landmines and so forth. So every day her report was all about who made it, who didn't, who has to be assigned out to go search for the mines and so forth. And so hers was a dismal duty. So in her creativity, she was just creating things that are blowing up. And so what I helped her create is a more pleasant things image, which she was so relieved. And then that night, she called me about 1:45 a.m. and said, I really need another paint and sip next week. Can you please do it? So I volunteered to do just another paint and therapy with her for about 2 hours. And then she disclosed to me that one session at first, the first session, she said she no longer have thoughts to take the final exit. So many people have frustrated barriers that keep the creativity from them. And then they realize by embarking upon the creativity, they can minimize their stressful PTSD situation by being more responsive to their therapy, more responsive to their counselors, more open to talk and not hold it in.
Were you teaching art over at the West LA VA?
Since 2009, the first grant was from the Annenberg Foundation, and they had a little art program known as the Strawberry Flag. And I used to be on the North Campus giving every weekend, Saturday and half of a Sunday, art sessions to veterans, and we would do all of our art outdoors.
Oh, well, that is such a beautiful campus over there.
Yes,
That really
yes.
is just a great idea, not just art, but in a natural setting, which is the best place to create art.
Exactly. And from the Strawberry Flag Foundation grant through the Annenberg Foundation, the recreational department of the main VA Building 500 wanted to recontinue it and we started to have it at the multipurpose room in Building 500. Wonderful staff over at the recreational therapy, and I had nothing but support. And in addition to Vets Helping Vets, which was one of the organizations that have been as supportive as well.
One of the things I like is that you don't do just one style of art. You really kind of do, you do a variety of art because you work with a variety of mediums.
Yes.
One of the things that I like, because I know you were in the Navy, so you did art with your combat boots.
Absolutely. It's in my website also, where the Patriotic Arts Series page, where a drill sergeant had indicated a while, way back when, had indicated that combat boots are just that. And I said, well, got to make them pretty. There was no such thing. You can't do that. Sure you can. Art applied to the transition that I did was I put a new twist on it. Back then, the boots serve as a matter of combat activities or military outdoor activity or military activities, period. And then take the art to it is the transition of life, of how the colors are within me, in my mood, and expressive. So it's called Boots in Transformation.
I see that you're holding a pair in your hands, and is this the stained glass ones?
No, the stained glass ones are right here.
Well, yeah, I just saw those a while ago on,
And
those are, oh yeah. Can you, oh yeah, those are great. And of course we have pictures of those, so we'll be showing.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, those are really, really nice.
Absolutely.
So now do you always use, now this is a stupid question, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Do you always use white canvas tennis shoes?
No, as a matter of fact, I use leather pumps.
Oh yeah, great. Oh yeah, those are great.
Right, leather pumps.
Yeah. Can you hold those up a little bit more? Oh yeah, those are really wow. Those are really nice. Those could be for men or women.
Yes.
Oh yeah, those are really
And I do heels, pumps, sandals. And when you go to my website, the
I
Art
see
of Shoes
the
page,
sandals. Yeah, we're going to show those during this segment as you're talking
yes,
about sandals.
yes,
Those are really beautiful.
absolutely. And then my favorite one that I just recently completed are the Midas Touch Gold.
Oh yeah, well, oh yeah, those are really nice. Wow.
I tried to use a marble type of paint design, pattern design for
Okay.
the Golden Touch. They are also listed on the website.
And I've noticed lately, or maybe it's just the way I'm interpreting what I see. You are delving more into the spiritual realm, and if you could
Well,
speak to that, um,
yes, I have created a spiritual art series where it doesn't lean toward any denomination. I want to go further, deeper than, in a sense of organized religion. I want to go toward the inner spiritual connection that individual has in their own ways, often not able to be interpreted into words, but interpreted into visuality. So if a connection to the inner self, which is the inner temple of a deity, almighty God, which is known by many names, through art, I use the visuality to have that person within have their satisfaction of making a connection with the their inner existence empowerment that's bigger than we can ever think of.
I think in a way it's like you are tapping into like a universal knowledge
Exactly.
that goes beyond um, language. So, you don't have to speak a foreign language. You don't have to speak English. You just have to look at it.
Exactly. For example, one particular art that is my favorite of the entire spirituality series is called Man and Energy. And Man and Energy is a interpretation that I use from my days of medical illustration at John Hopkins, and I use the pulsating sense of a surrealism of fire, of positive energy, and a planetary images, and also a human image where the universe and man becomes as one. And as they become as one, the pulsating energy is very explosive and very empowering. So that's why I call it Man and Energy, when the universe and man become as one.
I think you said earlier you were teaching art since 2008 or 9.
2009.
Okay, since 2009. So I know during those 11 years that you've been teaching art to veterans,
Yes.
you've received many accolades for
Oh, absolutely.
your contribution to the veteran community and for really unlocking the creativity for a lot of veterans who doubted that they even had it to begin with.
Absolutely. As a matter of fact, um, the Dr. Imbasciani, the Veterans Affairs of California, he has written a letter of appreciation and support. Senator Dianne Feinstein, uh, Senator Ben Allen, and many others, to the point where one particular painting called The Price of Freedom is usually the painting that is my gateway to veterans to let them know this is my visual tribute to the veteran community. And at the same time, The Price of Freedom is one painting where the connection with veterans has been ever so prevalent to the point where I cannot take the credit of giving it title. It was a Vietnam vet, USMC Marine, who gave the title to The Price of Freedom. He looked at it and he said, it's simple, that's the price of freedom. And so he lets people know that my art gives him a sense of calm and a therapeutic sense that he can get things done by not letting those PTSD conditions that he still has, but in a more controlled fashion, to the point that it doesn't compete, PTSD doesn't destroy him. So like many of my paintings, this particular Marine has given its titles. It's just like the Eye of the Sentinel, which is a visual tribute to the women of our armed forces, fellow veterans like myself. And that same USMC Marine Vietnam combat veteran gave it the title, the Eye of the Sentinel.
Well, very good. Well, you inspired him because he
Yes,
loved your art.
yes.
So that's a really a tribute to what you're doing. So now here's a question I'd like to ask. What do you get out of it, Phyllis?
Oh boy, that's a fun question. What I get out of it is that relieving anxiety and pain, hindrance that people feel. And at the same time, I always say to veterans, I don't know your individual stories, but I hope that you're embracing me, engaging me through this art therapy gives you some sense of solace, some sense of escapism, to explore other avenues, not to escape and ignore your issues, but to expand your therapeutic mind to the point that you can now receive other solutions to your individual needs as per your individual situation, that it be MST or PTSD or any other anxiety, frustration, and to the civilian world that's dealing with PTSD, that's dealing with the worries of unemployment, and all those other stressful moments, the world of politics, all of that. Let art be some type of calming solution instead of going the drastic route of drugs or suicide. That's what I get out of it.
Thank you, Phyllis.
All righty.
And Merry Christmas, Happy New Year.
You too.
And
2021. Here we go.
be better than 2020, right?
Absolutely. We're only going to make it better to learn from 2020.